Okay, looks like we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Blaire, the Love Guru from loveguru.net. And if you're new here, I am a spiritual teacher, an intuitive heart healer, a psychic, a medium, a dating and relationship expert, a marriage and family therapist, a horse healer, and an animal communicator. And today I want to talk about what are your unhealthy relationship patterns? Do you know what that is? Do you even know what I'm talking about? So, for example, one unhealthy relationship pattern might be the pattern of going for unavailable men or women. This is actually one of the unhealthy relationship patterns that I have. And it's something that I have been working on and healing over the years. And it goes different levels. So the way that we heal, I'm going to put down my water here. The way that we heal is in layers, that something comes to our awareness, then we work on healing that, we open up more energy to live a happier life, then we're able to connect more with our manifestation power then, and we grow. Our soul grows more and more every time we do healing. And then what happens is we get to that next level, and then something else comes up that we have to clear also. Now, usually the healing gets a little bit easier. Sometimes you go through patches that are sort of filled with emotion and kind of rough. But once you get on this path of healing, you get comfortable with how the healing process goes. You get more comfortable with feeling the difficult emotions and the different memories that might come to mind because you know how to work yourself through the process, and usually you have support, other healers that are helping you along the way, and you know how that goes. It's sort of like the low, and then you work through that stuff, and then you have the high. You raise in consciousness and you get a spiritual high. You literally get a spiritual high. And that's actually one of my addictions. I want to say I don't have many addictions, but my addiction definitely is to self-growth and to spiritual growth and spiritual healing. And I'm sort of like working out of that addiction because I just want to balance out my life a little bit more. By the way, I don't know if you can see this shirt. It says Jim Beam. I do not drink. It's just a shirt that I wear. It's like some false advertising that I have. It's just a promotion I did for the company like a couple of years ago, and I just like the shirt's very comfy, but I am in no way in support of Jim Beam or drinking. You could drink if you want, but I don't. I've just kind of worked out of that years ago, and now I have like absolutely no tolerance for alcohol at all. So I just don't bother because I sort of like weigh it out. This is just like side note. We're going to talk about the unavailable men thing, but I sort of weigh it out. I kind of think like, do I want to like kind of do some damage? Is this a bad way of looking at it? So I want to do some damage to my body from like alcohol, or would I rather have like a brownie sundae? I kind of like, or ice cream. And it's like, well, I'll do the dessert over, or like the pizza over like the alcohol. I don't really care about that. And again, I'm so busy on my spiritual highs, you don't need alcohol. And also you can just get really sensitive to energies. And when people are drinking or you're in a bar, you come out of there and you're just like dirty. Your energy field is just like dirty. So you have to like hardcore sage and like shower and like pray it away and like meditate it away. I'm talking about dark energy here. So that's just like a little side note. I wanted to say hi. I haven't made a video in so long. I think I'm going to start making videos again. I do miss it. I don't really have anywhere to film, as you can kind of see where I'm today. I'm just sort of random places in my home, and I have a bunch of like brainstorming stuff on the back because I write on all my walls. I have lots of ideas, lots of things going on in there, and I don't have like a designated like let me film here area where I'm living right now. And also I'm planning on moving very soon. So okay, let's go back and let's talk about these relationship patterns. So do you know what your relationship patterns are? Maybe you're always attracted to men who don't want to commit, or maybe you're attracted to men who don't really pay attention to you. And this goes for guys too. Okay. I'm just going to talk to women for like, I don't know, maybe I'll talk to women just for like the sake of like easier conversation. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But, what are your relationship patterns? So like bring some of those to mind of like what happens. Are you normally avoidant of relationships? Are you usually the one who breaks someone's heart? Are you usually the one that gets scared when you get close to someone? You're afraid that they're going to hurt you. Are you the one that normally doesn't trust men or women? Are you the one who is usually single, the single one? Are you the one who hasn't been in a relationship forever, which is the same thing as single one? Are you the one who, I mean, there's so many relationship patterns. What are yours? So that's like the first step, is to become aware of like what's going on in your love life. If you want to improve your love life, you have to start figuring out like, what is the problem? Like, are you a workaholic? Or is it that you allot zero time for your personal life? You don't, because your job is so demanding. Well, that's an issue. That's an issue. If you want to have a love life and you're so busy working, you need to create space to have that love life. So today we're going to talk about the pattern of attracting unavailable men or unavailable women. So I am talking to men and women, and again, all sexual orientations. The stuff that I teach works for everybody because I talk about spiritual principles and spiritual laws and spiritual truth, and it works for everybody. It's not like, the pickup tactics, that you see out there, the dating tactics. This is just universal principle, comes from spirit, and it works all the time. There's no, that's the thing. Like when you're, I was just talking to someone about this here the other day, is like, and I actually end up having a lot of conversations about this. When you're doing a dating site or a dating app or going to singles events or using a matchmaker or going to clubs or lounges or restaurants and looking for love, that's a crapshoot. Like part of the time, like you might find somebody, other times you might not find somebody. You might go and find somebody and it will just not really work out. Like they'll get your number, but not maybe contact you, or maybe not really be interested once you start talking. And when you work with the universe, when you partner with the universe, which is how I teach singles how to attract the one, that you could manifest a girlfriend or a boyfriend, a husband, a wife from sitting on your couch. You don't have to go out. Like that's the thing. You hear a lot of spiritual people. I hear a lot of spiritual people talking when somebody says to them, oh, I want to find love. I want to meet someone. And they're like, well, are you looking online for love? And it's like, this is what a spiritual person, like people, even if someone's spiritual, like people aren't really schooled on how to manifest like what I teach, because you don't have to go online to look for the one. Because it's weird to me on how I hear spiritual people still talking about on how like, well, are you going to a singles event? Like, oh, have you signed up for a dating site or a dating app? Like, have you joined like social events? Like, you don't have to do any of that to find a partner. And if you'd like to know how to do that, well, then come visit me at loveguru.net and purchase something. I have books. I have a how to easily attract the one, get started guide. These are all like lower cost things. Sometimes I get emails that have like people saying, oh, I can't afford to work with you privately. Then don't. Get a book. Get my book. It's $33. Anybody can afford that. I mean, I would think. Okay, unavailable men. By the way, I'm doing this video because I'm doing it in promotion of this event, this workshop, the half-day healing and manifestation workshop I'm doing in Northern New Jersey, which is just 20 minutes from the Port Authority in Manhattan if you live in the city, or if you live out of the state or out of the country and you want to come in for a trip. I'm doing this March 30th. You have plenty of time. Well, if you start planning it now, if you want to come into town, I'm doing this half-day healing and manifestation workshop, and it is how to stop attracting unavailable men or women. and get the relationship that you truly desire. So that's the reason why I'm making this video. Okay, just so you know. So you know my ulterior motives. I'm just sharing them with you. All right. So this is about stopping the pattern, like of being attracted to unavailable men or unavailable women. And you can get to a place that you're just not attracted to these guys anymore or these girls anymore, because the reason why you are attracted to unavailable men or unavailable women is because there's something that's going on within you, an unconscious part of you, a childhood wound, an unhealed childhood wound that is still operating, that is looking to become whole, that is looking to be healed. So what's an unavailable man or an unavailable woman? It takes many forms. It could be somebody who works a lot, who's always in the office. And now I understand, oh, well, Blaire, that's just the job I have. It requires me to work X amount of hours every day, and or whatever. I'm building my business, or I'm an entrepreneur, and this is just the way that it works. I'm a business owner. Well, there's things that are operating there. If that is you, or if you're attracted to people like that is a form of being unavailable. There is something that is going on with them on an unconscious level that's keeping them away from being intimate in relationships. Okay? That's one of the things that I'm working through. I still work through that. My unavailability, my workaholic tendencies. And I'm clearing the space so that I'm able to welcome in my life partner, because I have been in relationships with guys who have been workaholics too, and we're this power couple. That's the thing. It's very much sensationalized in our society that you want to be part of a power couple. At least that's the world that I live in. Or if you're in the hip hop world, like Jay-Z and Beyonce, and like, who else? I don't know, maybe Jennifer Lopez, and like, who's that baseball player that she's dating? A-Ron or A-Rod? What's his name? I don't know. So, it's this amazing thing to be part of this power couple. Both people have great jobs. Both people are making great money. That's super sexy. And also it's attractive, but it's also partly unattractive, because if people are so focused on their career, there's a lacking of intimacy in your relationship. So that's the whole thing. None of these things are an issue unless you want to be having an intimate, heart-connected relationship with somebody. That's where the problem arises. So that's a form of being unavailable, working all the time, or being attracted to men or women who work all the time. People who are very sort of obsessed and focused and controlled and always busy with their family members, which, by the way, I find that like super annoying. I've dated some mama's boys, super annoying. And so that's a form of unavailability. Another form of unavailability is like when somebody comes on really strong, and then all of a sudden, like, you kind of give in to them, you start paying them some attention, you want to start hanging out, and then like they're not really so consistent with like calling you or emailing you or texting you. That's another form of someone being unavailable. You go out, you have a good time with somebody, and then it takes them a little bit of time to get back to you, to follow up with an email, a call, a text, or something when they're going to see you again. So all these different things, even when somebody cheats on you, that's a form of unavailability. I personally think that most people in our society are unavailable, because so many people have childhood wounds that are unhealed. And, that's not really, it's becoming more celebrated and acknowledged and appreciated in our society to be the value of working on yourself and developing yourself and healing your childhood wounds, because this causes blocks in other areas of your life. It causes blocks in every area of your life. And you don't realize it when you're in the gunk of it, or maybe you do, but in the olden days, the main focus was making money. When I'm talking about our ancestors, the generations that came before us, our parents, even especially our grandparents, but even our parents too, is that if you come from a family, a lot of the that doesn't have money, or didn't come from a lot of money, or even if you did come from a family with money, you need to it's a lot of the messages, you need to either work your way up, get out of the situation that you're in, the fear of having no money. A lot of immigrants, especially into America. So it's I need to make it in this world. I need to make it in America. So I better work. And that's that whole hustle hard mentality that's so glorified, which is also just so awful and frightening and based off of a childhood wound. So what's going on is, again, in the olden days, and still we have the leftover here, but we're shifting out of it, is that if you are in the realm of healing yourself, healing childhood wounds, healing negative thought patterns, healing sabotaging behaviors, which is all the stuff that I help my clients with, by the way, loveguru.net, that is looked at as a luxury. That's looked at, if you're just struggling to make it with money, if you're in that survival, that root chakra survival, that hustling, oh my God, I'm afraid of my safety, I'm afraid of my security, I'm afraid of the money situation. Well, you are not in the mind space. You're not in that higher consciousness level of let me develop myself, let me heal myself. You're focused on the lower chakras. You're focused on a lower level of consciousness of let me just try to get by. Let me just focus on, it's like that Maslow hierarchy of needs, or whatever, it's called something like that. But on the lowest level is we're fighting for our survival. But now, so many people are waking up. So many people are stepping into higher levels of consciousness that they're saying, oh yes, let me heal my childhood wounds. I notice I have these negative thought patterns, rather than when the anxiety, and let's kind of break that down a little bit, rather than that when anxiety and fear comes up. Again, let's talk about money, okay? Since we're talking about workaholics and people who are unavailable in that place, is that if you're on a lower level of consciousness, you have the fear about money, which is, again, a childhood wound. It's a generational wound that's passed down. And you have that anxiety and that fear about money. So you say, okay, I am going to go work. Be that hamster on the hamster wheel. The rat in the rat race. Can I think of another one? Another cliche. So if you're on the lower level of consciousness, you're going to have that anxiety. You're going to follow that anxiety. You're going to follow that fear, and you're going to work. If you're in a higher level of consciousness, then you understand. And if you've been around this self-growth healing game for a minute or two, you realize, or you start to realize, because there's also, again, many spiritual teachers and many healers out there that are still so run by the energy of anxiety and fear. And we all have this. It comes up. Listen, I had a health thing with my thyroid. It's still healing. And I went hardcore into the fear. And nothing was wrong with my thyroid. It's just that they found some nodules on my thyroid. My thyroid works perfectly. It's perfect. It works perfect. It has some nodules. But that put me into a place of panic, crazy anxiety, crazy fear, into a survival mechanism. And that's when I had to reach out to my own healers, plural, to help me step out of that, because the fear's not real. So when you become savvy to this, rather than being ruled by the fear, the anxiety, you reach out for help, and you're like, okay, how can I transform this? I'm having anxiety. How can I transform this? So now let's relate this back into relationship stuff and the whole being unavailable. Well, what happens is when somebody is a workaholic, they have issues around interpersonal issues. They have issues dealing with other people. And like I said, hey, that's one of my things that I work through, that I'm still working through and healing through, is the workaholism. It's easier for me, or again, somebody who has, who likes to shut down their emotions, or has, again, the childhood wound that has been trained to shut down their emotions, trained to deny their emotions. So when something happens that they're feeling uncomfortable, it's more comfortable just to go back to work. It's something that they can control. They're not feeling as many emotions. They're not feeling maybe vulnerable. They don't have to risk being vulnerable around somebody else. They maybe don't have to express themselves. So they go into the being, a workaholic. Okay. Thank you, Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill says, you are a very attractive woman. I clicked in to see if your energy matched your photo. Peace and love. Thank you very much, Uncle Bill. Which we're going to talk about that stuff. The whole, I'm going to get into that more and more about family relationships. I happen to be estranged from almost everybody in my family, and that is a result from healing childhood wounds and breaking these generational wounds that we carry. Now, again, I'll leave that for a conversation for another day, but the benefit of these things is when you step out of this programming, when you step out of this fear vibration, this anxiety vibration, you're able to become more, you're able to get more of yourself. You're able to connect with more of your true self. You're able to connect more deeply with yourself. You're able to be more intimate with yourself. Your vibration goes up. You start being at a higher level, so it becomes easier for you to manifest things in your life. You're able to be in a place that you're thinking of something and then it happens with very little physical effort in the real world. So again, we're stepping out of that place of being in a rat race. We're stepping out of that place of constantly draining our adrenals and being in that stressed out and that fear space. And you get what you want. You're in a place of getting more and more of what you want. Now, this is something that you have to, it's an art